I'm Mrs. Tepper. I work in the ESOL department, if you don't know me. So this is chapter 28. Shh, he's sleeping. The memory of the jacket bear surfaced as Louis stared up the hill at the lumpy shape at the top. He was out of breath from his search for Winslow, and he was worried and frightened. He wished Mac were with him, but Mac had gone in another direction. Louis slowly moved up the hill. He was approaching from the back side, not the sledding side, and the sun was in his eyes. He thought he heard humming. Coming up the last stretch, he was able to see more clearly. Nora? She turned abruptly, putting her finger to her mouth. Shh. Nora was seated, cross-legged on the grass with Winslow beside her. Winslow, we've been searching. Shh, he's sleeping, very tired. It was a maddening thing about Nora and about most people who did not say much. Louis rarely knew what they were thinking, or even if they were thinking. Sometimes he wanted to bore a hole in their head and peer around inside. He felt as if he'd then be able to see what they were thinking. Maybe the words would be written across a large screen in their brains. People who talked too much were also maddening to Louis. All those words pouring out of their mouths in gushing torrents. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, did you know? Blah, 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 blah. Did you hear? Blah, 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 blah. I felt blah, 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 blah. I saw blah, 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 blah. When he encountered someone like that, he wanted to put his fingers in his ears to shut out the noise. And at those times, he wished the talkers were more like the quiet people. Maybe he would rather know less, not more. On the hill, when Nora said, shh, he's sleeping, very tired, Louis wanted to know so much more, but he was grateful that she offered at least those few words. And he was grateful, so relieved and so very grateful to find Winslow. Chapter 29, Questions. Louis crouched beside Nora and gently stroked Winslow's head, relieved when Winslow's ears twitched. He was alive and he was safe. Thank you, Louis whispered. For what? For finding him, for saving him. I was so worried. Shh, why? Why? Because he was missing, and I thought he was lost or hurt. He could have been run over or fallen in the creek, or shh. All the while, Nora sat completely still, gazing down the hill. She was wearing a bright red sweater, and her hair was piled on top of her head in a top knot, and she reminded Louis of a tomato. I have to take him home, Nora. We have to get to school. Winslow woke, blinked, turned from Nora to Louis, and flapped his lips. You woke him up. We can't sit here all day. I guess not. Here, then, you'll want this. She handed Winslow's leash to Louis and raced off, running home. It wasn't until Louis reached his own house, opened Winslow's pen, removed his leash, and went to hang it on its hook that he thought, how did Nora get Winslow's leash? Louis was eager to see Nora at school and find out where and when she found Winslow, but she was not in the cafeteria at lunchtime, and he did not see her among the crowds of students leaving after school. When he arrived home, Mac was kneeling in Winslow's pen, talking to him, but as soon as Winslow sensed Louis approaching, he waggled his ears and let out a loud, gurgling "Rrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr. Scratched on his sweater. I wonder when and how he got out, Max said. I'm not sure when, Louis said, but I think I left the gate unlatched. I must have. He was too embarrassed to admit he'd probably also left Winslow's leash attached. You ought to get a lock on this gate," Max said. Anyone could come along and take him or let him out to run away. But he'd raise such a ruckus, he'd scare a stranger away. It bothered Louis that Winslow had run away. Chapter 30. Gus Fan Club. Saturday morning was gloomy, with fog blanketing the house and yard. Louis rummaged in his closet until he found one of Gus's sweatshirts. It was thick and warm and still smelled of Gus. When he entered the kitchen, his mother said, "Great minds think alike." She too was wearing one of Gus's sweatshirts. "Wait till you see your dad." Before he could ask why, Louis's father emerged from the basement. He was wearing Gus's varsity football jacket. "See what I mean?" his mother said. "Look at us. We're Gus's fan club." "Miss that boy," his father said. "Can't help worrying about him." A faint knock at the front door startled them. Perhaps they were each thinking or hoping, "Gus? Could it be Gus? Or worse, is it bad news about Gus?" It was Nora, huddled in a bright yellow rain jacket with the hood pulled up over her hair. Her face was so small within. "I was just walking," she said. "Oh, do you want to come in?" "No, well, I don't. We're eating breakfast. Want some?" I ate. Nora left and right and up and down. Nora looked left and right and up and down. "Maybe I'll go check on Winslow. That okay?" "I'll come with you. Show you where his food is. You can feed him if you want." Winslow hopped onto a hay bale and then into the air and flung himself against Nora and Louie, hopping and wagging his tail and flicking his ears. He nibbled their sleeves. "He's the funniest thing, isn't he?" Louie said. Winslow's muzzle was pure white now and his coat pale gray. Down his spine was a darker stripe, and across his shoulders lay another dark stripe, making it seem as if he were wearing a red cross. He wiggled and wobbled and darted here and there, between their legs, up onto the hay bale, leaping down again. "I didn't see you at school yesterday," Louie said. "Oh, I wanted to ask you about finding Winslow. You had his leash. You didn't want him walking around these roads without it, did you?" "No, but how did you get his leash in the first place?" "You silly. It was right there on that hook.